Well, there was an overflowing crowd of over 100 disappointed supporters and opponents at Tuesday's Inyo County Board of Supervisors meeting in Independence. Now, that was for the decision on whether or not to approve the ATV Adventure Trails Eastern Sierra pilot project. Now, the meeting has been rescheduled and will now be renoticed for Monday, December 30th. Now, the 3-year effort to allow owners of ATVs to access local businesses and services using combined use roads, paved and dirt, had to be postponed at the last minute due to a concern over the California Fair Political Practices Commission's regulatory 500-foot rule under the state's conflict of interest regulations of that Political Reform Act. Now, that act prohibits a public official from making, participating in making, or otherwise using his or her official position to influence a governmental decision in which the official has a financial interest. Now, the concern was not raised until late Monday evening by a supervisor responding to a constituent's question by contacting county council. It was decided by the Inyo County Board of Supervisors to wait for the county council to get a hopefully quick interpretation from the FPPC. Many present were unhappy with the decision postponing the meeting, as well as the alternative discussed by the supervisors to reschedule the meeting sooner than later. A tentative date for that special meeting has now been set, Monday, December 30th, beginning around 3 p.m. at a venue in Independence. Now, however, the final date, time, and location will be announced well enough in advance by the county through press release to local news media, and will also be posted online at the county's website, inyocounty.org. Well, a press release starts with heroin, marijuana, meth, spice, ecstasy, and oxy. These are just some of the illegal and prescription drugs being abused by adults and teens in Eastern Sierra communities. But as a parent, how do you know if your child is using? What do you look for? What are the symptoms? These are the questions being asked of local school officials, counselors, and law enforcement by worried parents of teens and preteens throughout Inyo County. And these anxious parents are the reason for the Parents Guide to Narcotics event that is being held next week at the Bishop Union High School Dorothy Joseph Auditorium. Now, according to Bishop Union High School Principal Randy Cook, he was approached by a group of concerned parents regarding drug use by teens. Cook said, quote, "This group of parents was troubled, not necessarily because they thought their kids were using illegal drugs, but because they had no idea what to look out for in order to catch them and stop them if it happens," end quote. Now, local law enforcement officers will be conducting the educational night, and they plan on including as much detail as possible regarding drugs available in Inyo County. Now, according to Cook, the presentation will break down each drug and go over the basics, giving parents, grandparents, and guardians tools to detect if their child is involved with drugs. The Parents Guide to Narcotics event will be taking place Tuesday, December 9th, starting at 6:30 p.m. at the Bishop Union High School Dorothy Joseph Auditorium. You can expect to hear from law enforcement what each drug looks like, what they smell like, how they are ingested, and what symptoms a teen on each drug often exhibits. Additionally, the presentation will include drug packaging, information, teach parents to recognize drug paraphernalia items, and identify the various slang terminology used. Now, to help with the evening's education, a Spanish language interpreter will be giving real-time translation for parents and community members for whom English is not their native language. Now, you don't have to be a parent or have a child in the school system to attend this event. This information could be of use to a variety of employers, coaches, clergy, and people looking for childcare. According to the press release, all community members are invited to attend Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. at Bishop High School. Well, as we reported this week, a bear was shot by a resident in Mammoth Lakes, and that bear that had repeatedly charged that resident was later euthanized by an officer. Now, that story generated many comments on our website, sierrawave.net, and Mammoth Police Chief Dan Watson actually posted a comment, but he also talked with Sierra Wave Media's Rob Gill about the incident.
Yeah, last Sunday on November 30th, around 10:30 in the morning, the police department and Steve Searles, our wildlife specialist, were notified that a resident who lives in the Sierra Valley Sites neighborhood had shot at a bear that had been in his garage and had bluff charged him 2 or 3 times. And we responded and located the bear. It had been shot once with birdshot and was seriously injured, and an officer made the decision after conferring with Steve Searles, the wildlife specialist, that the bear should be put down. He did so, and after that we contacted Department of Fish and Wildlife, and one of their wardens came and conducted an investigation, including speaking to the individual that had shot at the bear, and concluded that the actions of that individual were appropriate because of the ongoing series of problems he'd had with that bear, and the bear's behavior that morning. So he issued a depredation permit post-mortem, which basically makes it a legal taking of the bear. Sad set of circumstances. Nobody wants to see a bear destroyed. Nobody wants to see a bear do property damage, especially repeatedly at an individual's residence. The resident indicated that he'd had problems with the bear in the past, the same bear. Steve Searles had been contacted after the fact on previous occasions. He'd spoken with the individual and given him some advice, but the fact is that morning the bear got into his garage when the garage door was closed and did some damage in his refrigerator, did get into the refrigerator. He heard the commotion. He went out and tried to scare the bear off. The bear left. The bear came back and bluff charged him, and he became fearful. So he got his shotgun that he had loaded and fired at the bear. Well, I think the comments to your story indicate or show that there is a wide range of opinion by people in Mammoth Lakes as to how bears should be managed. It's everything. There's no doubt there are people in town that don't think there should be bears in the town limits and that they should be removed from the town one way or another. And there's other people on the other side of the spectrum that think that the bears have more of a right to be here than we do, and if a bear breaks into a car or breaks into a residence and does property damage, the bear shouldn't be punished for it. So I think the comments are reflective of the wide range of opinions in our community.
All right, we thank Mammoth Lakes Police Chief Dan Watson for that. We'll be back with more news.